So maybe going just a little bit deeper, you talked about kind of some of the principles, some of the mental models that you lean on when it comes to thinking about strategy. Like if you wanted to help somebody understand quickly the kind of 80-20, the handful of big ideas that if you were to understand them well, if you were to be able to kind of have a firm grasp on them, everything else would just kind of be great to add on top, but it might not be necessary. Like what is that 80-20 kind of set of big important ideas that you lean on or think about often?
I just want to caveat this with I don't think I've nailed this, but I think probably the best place to start is just by understanding a business as a system of inputs and outputs and feedback loops. It's really important to look at every piece of the system rather than just the product or there's basically everything is interdependent. The way that you decide who to hire and how to train those people and how to divide up responsibilities and what cadence of meetings to have, that all is related to and connected to the brand of your product and how much you invest in sort of like a visual identity or a marketing page and where you choose to promote that stuff and what features you choose to build into your, let's say it's a software company, these are all interconnected. And I think that in software, because so much of the strategy is just embodied in the software, it's very software centric and we almost think that nothing else matters. And I think it's really helpful to think about ways of leveraging sort of the whole buffalo in order to compete and just to think of a business as a holistic system where it's okay, what are we? What's the DNA of our company? It's the activities we choose to perform. So okay, what activities do we choose to perform? Well, in a software business, most of the activities are being performed by your software for your customers. That's why they're so powerful, is because they scale really nicely. In a lot of other businesses, there's other types of activities that are more important. If you're a retail operation, the way that you hire, the way that your employees, help people decide what to buy or whatever. This is all, maybe if you have a low cost strategy, then you've got to hire people who are willing to take a lower wage and they won't be able to have as much training and maybe you should expect higher turnover, but you should also, they care about other sets of things like access to educational opportunities or whatever, versus if you're a really fancy fashion boutique or whatever, you're going to make totally different decisions on almost every one of those forks in the road. So the first thing is thinking about it as a system. And then the second thing I'll borrow from Kevin Kwok, which is it's a recursive system. So there should be some core loop. Another way to put it is a flywheel. Is an idea from Jim Collins. These are basically the same thing, loops and flywheels. It's just basically okay, how does your system feed back into itself? Because only if you can have some sort of positive feedback loop where the thing accelerates over time, will you achieve the sort of velocity you need to be a really large business. And maybe that goal doesn't apply to you if you don't want to be a really large business. If you're a freelancer, maybe you don't want to be really large, but there's other ways in which you have positive feedback loops too. So two examples. Let's start with the freelancer example because it's kind of interesting. Maybe your positive feedback loop is you get a client, you do work, the client's really happy, and so they introduce you to other clients. All those other clients, you don't want to take them on, but maybe you're going to skim the top 15% of those clients and only take those on. And so you're rapidly getting more prestigious work that gives you an opportunity to do more interesting stuff, meet more interesting people, and get paid even more for each of your jobs you're taking on. So your business is growing in a certain sense, and there's a loop, there's that positive feedback loop that kind of connects to itself, but it's not necessarily that you want to create some sort of giant corporation or whatever.
Yeah, distill down what's happening there. It's you're landing clients, which help you do good work, which will help you get more clients. And so what's happening over time is, not only is your work quality getting better because you're working with better clients and hopefully you're getting better budgets and you're getting better opportunities, which is going to help you compete and win and, be more defensible, be able to earn more per hour, or hopefully at the end of the day, be able to make more in terms of profit. But then obviously that then starts to produce some network effects even at that level. So it's even in that example, I feel there's so much you can pull from it. Subscribe to Outliers with Daniel Scrivner now in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And be the first to hear about new episodes and receive exclusive content by joining our newsletter at outliers.fm. I can't wait to help you level up and live your best life.